Kidneydisease, got skill, break it. Yeah, we on that time. 60 on the board, now we start that climb. Get ready, get set, yeah, the moment's now. When it hits zero, we gon' show you how good. Yeah. 50 seconds, feel the energy rise. Heartbeat fast, yeah, you feel that vibe. Lights get bright, yeah, the stage gets set. We ain't even started, but you ain't ready yet. 40 on the clock, now we pick up pace. Every second count, yeah, we in that race. Crowd tuned in, yeah, they locked in tight. Whole room buzzing, yeah, we taking flight. Yeah, 30 seconds left, now we turn it up. No slowing down, gotta fill that cup. Energy peaking, yeah, it's building fast. Blink one time, might miss that blast. 40 on the clock, yeah, we feel to the heat. Baseline knocking, got you out your seat. Hands go up, yeah, we ready to go. Whole vibe shift when we hit that flow. 10, 9, feel that energy climb. 8, 7, yeah, it's almost time. 6, 5, yeah, we live right now. 4, 3, let me hear that crowd. Steve on the mic, yeah, the nurse got skill. Break it down smooth, keep the whole squad chill. Talking about kidneys, yeah, we keep them on track. If your numbers off balance, he gon' bring them right back. Got the wisdom on deck, no stress, just facts. Hydration, motivation every time he reacts. From the clinic hallway to your podcast feed, dropping gems so fresh, yeah, that's all you need. Stevethekidneynurse, yeah, you know the name. Keep your body in check, yeah, we play no games. Real talk, real health, yeah, we keep it pure. Tap in right now, Stevethekidneynurse, yeah. Stevethekidneynurse, yeah. Stevethekidneynurse.
Welcome back, and I mean welcome back to Dialysis Life with Stevethekidneynurse. I am your host, Stevethekidneynurse, and today, on Sunday, May 31st, we have a special conversation. Our guest is Yolanda, someone many of you may know from TikTok, where she has been open about her journey with kidney disease. Now, even in the midst of that struggle, she has been sharing something beautiful, her love for, and that's vegetable gardening. A reminder that God can still bring growth, beauty, and purpose in every season of life. Today, we're going to talk about her story, her faith, her strength, and the grace that carried Yolanda through. And I'm reminded, even myself, I'm reminded of the promise in Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. If you're listening today and you need encouragement, I sincerely pray this conversation reminds you that God is still with you, still strengthening you, and still working even in a hard place. So let's jump in. But before we talk to Yolanda, we got to hear a story. I got to put up the medical disclaimer, because I don't want people like, you giving medical information, you're not a doctor. But no, the information broadcast on Dialysis Life with Stevethekidneynurse is provided for educational and informational purposes only. And is not, and I mean is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Now, with that out the way, let's welcome Yolanda to the show. And let me give her, like we give everyone else, the VIP intro. Hello, Yolanda. How you doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, there you go. How you doing this evening?
I'm great. I'm great. Lucky to be here.
Well, again, as I mentioned before, thank you so much for coming on at a last minute notice. Seriously, I truly appreciate it. And as I say, I pray that your story can help someone watching today that's going through the exact same thing, you may be going through. So, Yolanda, let me begin my questions by asking you, can you start at the beginning? When did you first realize your body was telling you something was wrong?
Probably about maybe 3.5 years ago. Well, let me see. It's 26 now. Back in 2021, I had a major car accident. And after that accident, my blood pressure stayed high all the time. And they told me it was just due to PTSD from the accident, but it was high all the time. For months, it was high. And then finally, I went to a nephrologist, and she told me that my kidney function at that time, this was in 22, that it was at 15%. So
Mm,
that's when I found out in 2022. That's when I really found out that my kidneys were slowly failing.
So up at that point, you didn't know anything.
Not about my kidneys. I knew that I had been a diabetic for over 30 years at that time. And they told me that, after having diabetes for so long, most people, they either lose a limb, end up being blind, or they have kidney failure. And so I knew that, but nobody had before had told me anything about my kidneys.
Wow. Wow. So what were the signs that made you stop and pay attention other than your blood pressure?
At that time, that was all. But within the next couple of years, it slowly increased. Like the symptoms got worse. I started swelling a lot. The first thing I noticed is that I had went on a trip to Miami, and we was walking, and then I couldn't fit my shoe no more. My feet
Wow.
were so big that my ankles were hanging over my shoe. And I thought it
Wow.
was just from, walking. We was walking a lot. And so I didn't think nothing of it. We came back, and I kept having that issue with the swelling in my legs. My cheeks, I already had big cheeks, but they were like pretty much touching my eyes. So I had a
Mhm.
lot of swelling in my cheeks and around my eyes.
Oh, wow. Wow. Before I ask you the next question, let me just acknowledge Enlisted Kidney Foundations in the house. Thank you for coming. They're a great organization and resource if you're dealing with kidney disease, especially FSGS. I want to thank Sarah for coming in and Peach Tea. Thank you, P Teach. Thank you so much for joining the show. So, Yolanda, were you scared when you started realizing this wasn't just a small health issue?
I'm not going to say that I was scared. I was more or less just nervous because I didn't know what it would end up as. Right from the beginning, the nephrologist that I had, once we found out that my kidneys was at 15%, she was very, informative. She went through every possibility imaginable. She gave me every test you could possibly think of to make sure that it was kidney disease, that it wasn't acute kidney disease, but that I was in end stage renal failure. She
Mhm.
did everything. I had several biopsies to make sure that that's exactly what it was. So
Mhm.
I wasn't necessarily scared. I was nervous.
So looking back, what do you remember most about that time?
When going through the process, or when I
Yeah.
actually
Yeah, all that.
going through the process, I remember the fact that I just pushed through. Regardless of whatever symptoms I had, I pushed through. I went to work. I worked my shift. I worked overtime if possible. I came home, did what I had to do because at that time my mom was still alive, and make sure that she was okay. And we go to sleep, do it all over again the next day. So I
Right.
didn't let it stop me from doing what I had to do.
Got you. You mentioned you've been living with diabetes for 33 years. That's a long journey. How has that shaped the woman you are today?
Well, according to most people, it makes me one of the strongest people they know. Because during that time, I've experienced a lot of things. Like I'm legally blind in my right eye, and I've had a heart attack, so I've had a heart stent, and that was due to the diabetes as well. So it makes me persevere through everything. I have my moments where I'm upset or I'm depressed or whatever, and I talk to myself in the mirror and I get through it to the next day. And then the next day I'm better.
Mm. Were 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 there seasons where diabetes felt easy to manage and seasons where it felt like a fight?
Yes. Up until I got my insulin pump, because I was diagnosed at 13 and they diagnosed me as a type 2. Later on, they said that I was never a type 2, that I've always been a type 1 because I've always been on insulin. And when I got my insulin pump, that made things, that was
Mhm.
easy, because the insulin pump's doing the work. And, I have a CGM, so that's doing the work. And then, at that time, I was eating healthy. I was working out. I was juicing. So I was in the best shape, health of my life right before I got diagnosed with end stage renal failure. I was in the best shape of my life. And then there were other times where I may not have had the resources necessary to have the insulin. So that made it a little harder because in my mind, I was only thinking about the being blind and losing a limb.
Okay. Wow. Now, did you ever think it would affect your kidneys this way?
I did not. Even though I was told, I did not, because I didn't see a lot of people on dialysis as they were diabetic. What I saw was people becoming blind or losing a limb.
Mm-hmm. That seemed like that you was really like focused on being blind and losing a limb.
I
Is
was.
that is that what you experienced or seen other people in your area with diabetes had to deal with?
Yes. Um, in the area that I live, there's not a lot of people. Well, there's not a lot of people that's vocal or that that are on dialysis. They may be, but you don't know that because nobody's vocal about it, and it's
Mm,
not a disease or something that's really talked about a lot.
interesting. Interesting. So what has that 33-year journey taught you about strength?
That you're stronger than what you realize. No matter how hard life gets or whatever life throws at you, if you keep pushing and you can be determined to get up and go, you're going to get up and go. Like
Mm,
I said before, during this time, there have been periods where I'm just like, I'm tired. I'm tired. Before I got my insulin pump, I was like, I'm tired of sticking myself with a needle, having to give myself injection. I'm like, you just get tired of it. But then at the same time, you learn. I have kids. I have 2 kids and I have a grandchild. So you learn that you gotta do for them. I gotta make sure that they were okay. I had to make sure that my kids were good. At that time, I had to make sure that my mom was good. And that was all that mattered to me. I didn't matter in that aspect. My health didn't matter. As long as I could get up and go for my kids and get them straight and my mom straight, I was good.
got you. Right quick, Miss Devoted. you can send an email to the show at stevethekidneynurse@gmail.com. stevethekidneynurse@gmail.com if you'd like to come up, and share your story. And I really appreciate you reaching out to want to do that. So we'll be sitting back waiting for your email. So Yoli, I read your bio, and something that stood out. You said your kidneys retired early. And I love the way you still kept humor in something so serious. How has laughter helped you keep going?
It is the basis, because you gotta make a joke out of the situation, because so many people do not understand what people on dialysis really truly go through. You could be sick, but until you have the sickness of being on dialysis and going through the emotions, the cramps, the emotional battle, the mental battle, the stress of it, the nauseating of it, you don't understand what sick is. And I understand that, people with cancer go through some of the same things, but that's just a whole different battle. And, I'm on PD dialysis. So, when I first got on it, I named my machine. His name is Dylan, and that was my boyfriend. I named my tube. Her name, she started out in the S. Her first name was Francine. Now her name is Floetry, which is a play on poetry, because, she has to flow. And if she don't flow correctly, I might be sick or something. So you got to find some kind of light in it. A lot of people look at being on dialysis as the end all, that you can never do the things that you did before. But you can. Anything that you did before, just about, you still can do when you on dialysis.
Mm-hmm. I know you know what this is.
Yep.
I'm a PD nurse now. I train PD and HHD. I just transitioned to that role in December 2025. And so, and I love what I do. I worked on the floor for most of my 40 years in the career. And so now I'm able to work, with people such as yourself that decide to do home PD and just make sure that you still have a quality of life in spite of the situation. So I love this job. It's a 5-day a week job. I'm always on call, and I don't mind. I don't mind. So yeah, I just wanted to show you the transfer set. So Yoli, is humor part of how you survive the hard days?
It is that, and my garden.
Okay. Do you ever have to talk yourself into smiling through the pain?
I do. When those drain pains hit, or when I happen to get an air bubble in the line, those pains, or the cramping that it's a cramp that people get Charlie horses. It ain't that type of cramp. It's a cramp that I feel like I don't know, it's in my bone or in my nerve. Those things hurt. And
So
I just,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is serious. Have your nurse talked to you about how to resolve that drain pain? Because what happened in that catheter is hitting the bottom of the membrane in the pubic area. And if you leave some fluid drained in, it will help keep that catheter afloat and not cause that drain pain.
no, she has never mentioned that. And now, in fact, I don't have a nurse at the moment.
Really?
Truly. My last appointment, she told me that she was leaving because she was over too many clinics. So at the moment, I don't have a nurse.
So somebody should be kind of covering that unit. I mean, in theory, somebody should be covering that unit, because that's the same thing that was going on. The program I took over, they just had a PRN nurse because they didn't have a full-time home nurse. So now I'm the full-time home nurse, and I'm doing a lot of cleanup, but it's okay. I'll talk to you outside of this, but hopefully they would get that resolved. I mean, I'm sure you're still able to order your supplies through
Yeah.
Vantive and all that. The issue comes in for me hearing this as a PD nurse is, one, how long has it been since you had a transfer set change?
Oh, they change it every 6 months.
Oh, okay. So that's still getting done.
Yeah.
So you got a nurse, but it's not a permanent nurse. It's one that's pretty much kind of like covering the unit.
Yeah, my nurse just left at the last lab thing that I had.
Last month in
Yeah.
April. Okay.
April.
Okay. Okay. And so just one question before we move on. Do you get like EPO shots or iron each month
The
that may
Macera,
be impacted? Yeah.
I get Macera and I get an iron shot. I didn't get it this last time because they didn't have it.
Right. Right. Yeah, they should have had it. There's no way any clinic technically should run out of medicine for patients because, you know, you got sister units and you keep a count. We keep a medication log of account. So, but anyway, enough of that. But thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Let me ask you this. How important is it to still find joy even here?
It's extremely important. If you want to be successful in this life as being a dialysis patient, you got to find something to occupy your mind, occupy your attention, and to get you through the bad days. Like I said previously, I started a garden. I wasn't even an outdoor person, didn't like the outdoors, couldn't stand the outdoors. But I decided that, hey, I needed something to do to keep my mind occupied. So I started a garden. Another thing is like I have a granddaughter. And so I bombard my daughter. They live in Virginia. I bombard my daughter, calling her just so I can, talk to them or see them. My son's in the military. I bombard him too, to talk to him to keep my mind occupied.
That's
Because
awesome.
when you going through this journey and people don't really understand, the main thing that people deal with is the loneliness. Because now you're sick. And so people look at you differently. They treat you differently. They talk to you differently. They don't understand that your body is going through a lot of different things at the same time. So they don't know how to take it. So they just back off. And people don't get that. They don't realize that this makes it even harder for us that are going through this.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Let me give a shout out to Dominique Costello, not Danielle, but Dominique. This is an ongoing joke. This is one of my guests, prior guest, Dominique Costello, that was on my show. And I kept calling her Danielle because I had a guest on my show named Danielle. And so I felt so bad, but it's Dominique Costello. And it's good to see you, Dominique. Great person. She deals with kidney disease as well. She's advocating. She do home treatment, 27 years old. And she's amazing person. And that's why I want to do these shows so everybody can see that, hey, you're not the only one. It's other people going through this, share that same journey, may not look the same, but some of the same problems occur. So, Yoli, what was the emotional moment when dialysis became real for you?
August the 15th of 23. That's when I'm a person that whenever I go and have my labs drawn, I look at my labs before the doctor or the nurse ever see my labs. So I had told my nurse at that time, I had told my nephrologist, I was like, hey, every day, even though I get up and go to work, I'm extremely tired. I'm like, I only have enough energy to get up, go work my 8 hours, come home, take a bath, and go to bed because I'm that sleepy. And then I said, plus throughout the day, I am vomiting foam. It was just pure white foam. I said, I don't know. So she sent me to have my labs done. I went and had my labs drawn and I looked at them before she did. And I called her and I was like, hey, it's time. She was like, what do you mean? I said, I looked at my labs. Have you seen them? I said, my kidney function is at a 4. And she sent me to the hospital. And when she sent me to the hospital, because I was able to walk and talk and do everything just like I normally do, they couldn't believe that my kidney function was at a 4. And that's when I started dialysis.
I hear, let me tell you something. I've done these shows, whether people know it or not, since 2018. Really, TikTok wasn't really, popping like it was, but we were doing these shows, and a lot of the guests, Yoli, that I've talked to said the same thing. They went to the emergency room, and the doctor said, I can't believe you're still around because, your kidney function, your numbers are off the charts, and you shouldn't even be here. I can't tell you how many people have shared that same experience. One gentleman shared he was on the bus going to the hospital and he made it. Gene Shamando, and he's no longer here. But anyway, did you cry? I mean, did you go quiet? Did you feel angry?
Initially, I didn't. What ended up getting me, it wasn't even when they told me, when the doctor come in to check me and get ready, prepare for the surgery to put I forgot what it's called, but the catheter that they put in your neck.
Oh,
first,
yeah.
I was like, okay, I know it's time. I'm getting ready to get that, so that's fine. I didn't have a problem. When they came get me to put in my PD port, I didn't have a problem. It was when they kept me in that hospital for 2 weeks, and I'm like, I'm ready to go home. And they was prolonging that. That's when I had a problem. Cause I'm like, y'all gonna make me miss my chair because I thought I had to go to the clinic and sit in a chair for a couple of weeks, until I got trained for the PD part. And the lady had called me and said she had a chair available. And I was like, y'all gonna make me miss my chair. So by them keeping me in there, that made me think about this whole situation more. And then I started getting nervous. And then that's when I started getting, a little down about it. Not just the fact of going on. I made videos when I first got diagnosed and I was on my way to my first treatment and everything. I made videos talking about it, joking about it. Because at that time I was okay.
Right. I want to do a follow-up question, then we're going to take a quick station break and do our segment on myths versus facts. But the follow-up question I wanted to ask you, Loli, was there a moment when you had to say, Lord, help me get through this?
There's been plenty of those moments. There's been plenty of those moments. Like I said, when I started PD, I chose PD because I'm like, oh, okay. If I choose PD, that means I'm gonna do it at home. I can do it whenever I want to, and I'll still be able to go to work. That was my whole realm of thought process about PD. And then I found out that I could not work in the current job that I was doing, which I didn't understand completely. And then I found out that I couldn't work at all. And that really threw me off because at the time I was a CNA and I did home health and hospice. And I loved my job. I love my patients. I love doing that type of work because that matters, and not everybody can work in hospice. By me working at a hospital, I'm like, okay, there is 1,000,001 jobs at a hospital. People, sure, there's something that I can do. But then the state decided that I was not able to work. So that's a big difference. So I had, he's been a big factor in my life since I've been on dialysis, because that's what's keeping me going, because I don't have nothing else.
No, I definitely hear you. So we have a question from Heather. She's from TikTok. And thank you, Heather, for coming by. She asked, can we see your PD machine setup? I mean, are you near your machine? If not, that's okay.
But how do I?
You can just like move the camera near the machine.
Okay.
Like how it's facing you.
You have to talk to me and let me know, because I don't know how to turn the camera around.
Oh, no, that's like that. That's good. Let's see. Pan it to the right a little bit and down. Okay. Now, did they tell you what machine? Is that the Claria?
Yeah, that's the Claria.
Okay. I thought so. We use the Omnia.
Yeah, that's the one I was trying to get.
Okay. Yeah, it talks to you and
Yep.
everything.
That's the one I was trying to get. They was like, well, we don't give that one unless you're like blind. I was like, well, I'm legally blind. Does that count?
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. So before we go on the quick break, who was there for you when everything started to feel, we lost Yoli. So hopefully she'll come back. But let me say hello to Miss Sarah. Thank you, beloved, for coming through. Thank you for sharing that comment. Miss Cindy, thank you. We got Yoli back.
Sorry.
Oh, no. You good. You good.
You was asking me who was there for me?
Yeah, through those moments when times were heavy. Who was there for you when everything started to feel heavy?
My daughter, and at the time my granddaughter, they both was actually here. And then my friend, my boyfriend, he's been there. He tells me that I keep him encouraged and I keep him motivated through everything. And then I got a couple of more people that tell me that I motivate them, that I encourage them, because they see me going through and dealing with this, so they don't have a reason that they can't deal with the things that they're going through.
Kidney Mama shared she's was on the Liberty machine for over 12 years, Baxter for 6 years. Thank you. Elizabeth Sterling is here. She would tell you, before she got on, she's home hemodialysis and she sticks herself. And before she did that, she used to see my shows back in 2019. She's one of the quote old heads. But back in like 2018, 2019, Elizabeth Sterling saw myself, Jared Brown. We were doing these shows to help people find transplants and sharing their stories. And she wasn't even on dialysis at the time. And her kidney issue was polycystic. And she damn near rode it till the wheels fell off. And she said, I'm going to go on home hemo. And when that time came, she started to train and she stuck herself. And she does solo. In very few places will let you do solo. But there, with the next stage, they do have machines set up for solo and a different way you have to train. So with that being said, let's just take a quick pause. Let me go into an advertisement for kidney disease, and then we're going to come back with our myth verse facts. So we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Darren. We have breaking news. More than 600,000 Americans have kidney failure. While the number of people with kidney failure is enormous, the number of people with its precursor, chronic kidney disease, is staggering. An estimated 31 million Americans, or about 10% of the US population. Diabetes and hypertension cause 2/3 of all cases of kidney disease. 1 out of every 3 Americans is at risk for kidney disease, and kidney disease is now among the top 10 causes of death in the United States. In addition, 9 out of 10 people with early to moderate kidney disease don't know they have it, putting their health in jeopardy. Are you at risk? For more information, contact urbankidneyalliance.org. The life you save may be yours.
All right, we're back with Dialysis in Life with Steve, the kidney nurse. And this is our, as I call it, Dialysis in Life with Steve, the kidney nurse, myth versus facts segment. Now, based on Yoli's story, we had 3. We normally have 3 myths versus facts, but I was only able to generate 2 because, you know, we have a basic membership to Copilot. That's all you get. But our first myth versus fact is myth. PD patients can't be active parents or grandparents. No, fact. PD lets you be present and thrive. Yoli, can you shed light on that? You being a parent and doing a grandparent and doing PD dialysis, how has that helped you spend more time with your grandchildren so you don't have to go into the unit, you're at home?
Last summer, I kept her for part of the summer. And that, I didn't have any issues. She was in the room, I put on her a little mask when I got ready to hook up, and she was like, Mina, what's that? Why you do that? Mina. And we did what we had to do. And then in the next day, in the morning, we got up and we played, we went to the garden. It didn't stop from nothing. To me, the only thing that PD stops you from doing is if you want to go to the pool or you want to get in the water at a lake or the beach. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't stopped me from doing anything else. I've been on the plane. I've traveled. It don't stop. You can if you allow yourself to become complacent and you don't move, yes, you're going to get tired. But if you keep yourself busy and you move and you exercise, you got to push yourself. You might not feel like it, but you got to push yourself to do stuff so your body does not shut down. Otherwise, PD is great.
I agree. So here's our second myth versus fact. Dialysis means you can't live independently. Fact. Dialysis empowers freedom and self-care. Can you elaborate on that, Yoli?
Well, let's just start with the big one here. I live alone for the most part, unless my kids come home to visit or my grandbaby's here to visit, I live alone. So dialysis, PD dialysis don't stop nothing here. Mm-hmm. It just, it makes you become more aware of everything. Like, I'm not going to say that I don't pay attention to things like when I go out, in public places and people that have colds or anything. I'm like, hey, are you sick? I got to be careful. Or somebody has an animal, a pet. I'm like, hey, we got to be careful. I ain't trying to get peritonitis or anything, nothing in my tube. Other than that, I'm good.
Right. My friend up north, MD Naj, she says, love her energy and responses. And she's on dialysis as well. So this is why I say shows like this, in my opinion, in spite of the situation, can be really be beneficial and therapeutic at the same time. So let's move on with our question. Peritoneal dialysis every night for 9 hours is a serious commitment. What does that routine look like for you emotionally and physically?
Physically, sometimes it can be exhausting. I ain't gonna lie to nobody, and I tell my doctor, and I've told my nurse, I was like, hey, if I don't feel like it that night, I won't do it. I'm like, and I tell them this, and I'm like, I'm not saying that I miss multiple treatments a week. I'm just saying occasionally I will miss a treatment. And they was like, okay, so why? I like, sometimes I just didn't feel like doing it. Or if I cramp an extreme amount, I feel like I'm pulling off too much fluid. And being on PD, I can't adjust that. I can't adjust how much fluid is pulling off.
Mhm.
And when I say I feel like I pull off too much, I can feel in my legs, around my ankle, I can feel every tendon and every bone.
Yeah, they can adjust the setting, but they set it so patients can't mess with the machine.
Nah,
Uh-oh, I ain't gonna let me stop because you probably know something. I don't want to hear it. And no, don't say. Look, I hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil.
I keep it to myself.
Yeah. but no, but yeah, but technically that's the case. But some people find ways around it, right? But
Yeah.
hey, I mean, all I say is just be careful.
I do.
And that's
And
for anyone who's watching this that may have access to their settings.
let me put this out here, Steve, just for clarification, y'all. Yolanda is a person that just, she's upfront with what she does. And I will tell my doctor and I will tell my nurse anything that I do. But I am very mindful of what I do and how I do it. Like there are some times where I might not actually use my machine and I may do 4 manual exchanges.
Got you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure they don't mind that as long as you do the treatment. And do you still have urine output? Residual
Yes,
kidney function?
yes.
Great. So what do long nights feel like?
What do you mean long night?
When you doing 9 hours of PD overnight?
Unless I have drain pain or that where I got an air bubble in the line and my shoulder hurt, I don't feel it. So I hook up whenever I get ready to go to bed. Like around, sometimes it's 9:30, sometimes it's 10 or 11. I will go ahead, turn my machine on, put my bags up there, set everything up. And then when I know that I'm about to fall asleep, I'll go ahead and hook up and I get in the bed and then I go to sleep. And then I don't wake up until the next day and it's time to get off.
Mm-hmm.
And so half the time I don't notice that that I'm on it unless I have the drain pain or something.
That's interesting that you talked about the pain in the shoulder because I've learned that in my class that I went to in March about that air bubble, and most patients they feel it in the. It was a test question, and you're the first person I heard that mentioned that dealt with that pain in the shoulder from the air. Wow. Now, how do you keep yourself encouraged through that routine?
My 3-year-old grandbaby. My
Okay.
children are grown. Both my children are grown. My son is 19. He'll be 20 this year. My daughter's 26 and she'll be 27 this year. But my grandbaby is 3. And she is the apple of my eye. I love my Tootie. I love her to death. And I know that I gotta be Hamina has to be here for her. I have to, I gotta keep moving, gotta keep pushing for her. because I
Mhm.
got to show her, and I got to also show my kids that no matter what life throws at you, you got to find a way to keep going. I
Mhm.
kid you not. When my mom passed, I did not know if I was going to be here the next month because my mom was everything to me. My grandbaby was here, but they lived in Virginia. But my mom was everything to me. Everything I did was surrounded and so that I could benefit my mom, so that I could be there for my mom. If she got sick and was in the hospital, I was there. I told my job with a quickness, I don't care what you do. You can fire me. I don't care. That's my mom.
Yeah.
So after she passed, I didn't know if I was going to be here or not. So then I had to think about it. At that time, my son was still home. He hadn't graduated high school yet, so he hadn't went to the military. And I was like, but I got to show him that there's more out there. There's more out there. So I got to be here to make sure that he's okay. And so once he joined the military, I was like, okay, he's gonna be good because he's in the military. And my daughter's in Virginia. She's good. But my grandbaby, she loves coming down here. She loves to come down here and visit me or to go to the garden. So I got to be here. And then I'm slowly realizing that there's so many more people who look at my posts on social media. They may not comment, they may not like, but when we get a chance to talk or whatever, they're always telling me that I encourage them, that I motivate them, that I inspire them. Even my boyfriend, he tells me that I encourage him, I motivate him, I inspire him, I help him get through the rough days, the rough patches. And he's not going through, nothing nowhere near as to what I'm going through. And then I just look back and I be like, how am I encouraging you when I have to sit and go look in the mirror and talk myself out of being depressed? Or to
Mm.
talk myself out of, whatever crazy thought may be in my head. But I do it. And then
Mm.
it's like nothing happened. I'm back to normal.
Yeah. My condolence to you, the loss of your mom. I lost my mom. It's coming up on a year next month, and it's still hard for me. Um, yeah,
My
yeah,
condolences to you. It's
yeah. It's
not easy.
I moved home to kind of care for my parents after I had a workplace accident and I slipped on some solution that leaked from a pipe in the walls and came into the employee locker room. And, I went through that moment and had to go on workman's comp for 2 years. But when I first went on workman's comp, it took almost 4 months to pay me. And holidays, I had child support. And you talking about some dark times. I was ready to, you know, I mean,
Mhm.
I'm a firearms owner, so I definitely had to go talk to someone. I mean, it's real. It's real. So you're not alone. You know, even being a health professional, I have my moments, and especially when I don't know, I can't speak for any other dialysis tech or nurse, but I know when I go through event at work where is CPR involved and we had to intervene and send someone out. I mean, that can do something to you psychological when you just was talking to this person one moment, now the next moment this happens. So it takes a special person to work in this. So um, let me just ask you this: when you're having a hard day, what helps keep your faith strong?
Generally, if my day is super hard, I'll put on William Murphy, gospel artist William Murphy. I play that and just listen to all his music, and it makes me think about different things because most of the gospel songs talk about things that have happened in the Bible. Yes, I believe in God. I don't know if other people up here do, but I do. And so that's what helps me to get through the moments because I'm like, I have to play the devil's advocate with myself because sometimes I'm like, why do I have to go through this? And why do I get to go through this and come out on top? Whereas other people are dealing with the same thing, but they don't have the mentality that I do and they cannot see the bright side of it. They only see the negative side of it. So that helps me to think and it helps me to decompress and recompose myself to be me again.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I want to read some of the comments. Amanda Allen says, I am 28 years old. I have a kidney transplant in 2015. It's rejected now. I am back on dialysis. Keep fighting, Amanda. Miss Devoted, she's asking you, how do you stay still while sleeping and doing dialysis at night? I wanted to start PD so bad, but I am a mover in my sleep, so I am so afraid. That's a good question. This is where education comes in.
It is because I don't stay still. I move around. I toss and turn. The only thing that I dislike is that I cannot sleep on my stomach because that's where I've always slept. So now I have to sleep on my side, and I get in during my sleep. I know I flip flop from side to side, and that's it. I just make sure that whenever I'm on my left side, I make sure that I pull enough of the tube over me so that when I do turn, it's not pulling or it's not tight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then Miss Devoted follow up with a comment. She said, I guess she was meaning to say, I understand exactly where you come from. I lost my mom as well. MD Nas says, as you only get one, I'm sure she's referring to one mom.
Mm-hmm.
And Miss Devoted says, this is extremely hard to watch. I've had to watch in the clinic as well, and it triggers my trauma because I also had to watch them do CPR on my mom. I'm so sorry to hear that, Miss Devoted. And so definitely this broadcast is not intended, and I hope it doesn't trigger anyone that may still be dealing with some challenges regarding to this disease. So, Yoli, are there scriptures, prayers, or songs that carry you?
Psalms 91.
Okay. Is that the one that going through the valley of the shadow of death?
No, that's the 23rd Psalm.
Okay.
Don't ask me to quote it or read it, but Psalms 91.
I know, but no, 91 Psalm. I mean, we can easily look that up on Google, but okay. Now, have there been moments where you felt God holding you together?
That happens quite often. Happens more than you think. And I can honestly say, yes, a lot of them. I mean, like I said, when you going through this battle alone, that's when you have nothing but time to think. Especially if you live alone, you have nothing but time to think. And so you think about the what ifs. Okay? I think you said it was Miss Devoted that asked about how do I sleep with on
Right.
PD. So, that gives me time to think. I'm like, what if in my sleep I do wrap myself up in the tube and accidentally pull it out or, accidentally get it wrapped around my neck or, something like that.
Right.
It gives you time to think what will happen. If that happens, like, what am I going to do? In that moment, what am I going to do? One night there was a storm and the power went out. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? It was in the middle of a drain. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? You know, you think about those things. 'Cause
Right.
there's
Right.
nobody for you to call, and I can only reach so far when I'm hooked up. So that just, you know, gives you nothing. You have to think about everything. So you have to have some type of faith. You have to have some type of belief in on this journey. You have to be able to encourage and motivate yourself. You got to find it from somewhere. It doesn't matter what it is. You could pick up a hobby. You could pick up, you know, reading a book, reading books, series, writing, journaling. I tell people all the time to journal. I used to
Mm.
have a friend, she has polycystic kidney disease. And she was so worried about starting dialysis and always asking me questions about how did I know to choose PD. And I was like, well, that worked for me, but that won't might not necessarily work for you because
Mhm.
you got to look at what's going to be best for you. Can you handle PD? Can you handle doing it every night? You have a dog that stays in the house. Can you keep everything sanitized and clean? That's a big thing for people. I
Mhm.
used to, like I said, I used to work in hospice, and I had patients that would find out, like when I first got sick, I was still working, and they found out that I had issues with my kidneys, and they would be like, "Baby, I should be taking care of you, not you taking care of me." And you know, we would talk about it. And I saw people that were on PD dialysis, and I already had read up on it, and I know that it's supposed to be a clean environment, a sanitary environment. And then I see patients, house is dirty, everything is just dirty and nasty trash everywhere. And I'm like, huh? You know, I would be worried for them, but I learned. And, you know, just being prayerful and being glad that I woke up the next day, despite everything that's going on. I'm grateful for another day. Now that I have my garden, I'm grateful for being able to go to my garden and say, I'm gonna get this out the garden and I'm gonna cook this. Like I was grateful today. I'm a new gardener, but I went out there and I have carrots and I have radishes. And I wanted to see what they look like, knowing that they're not ready. So I plucked them, and I have a baby carrot and a baby radish. But that's something that I grew. I did that, and gives me joy. That gives me comfort because I can go out there and sit in the garden, and I can just be one with my garden, the trees that are around my garden, and anything else that's in nature. Believe
Oh,
it or not, nature is powerful.
yes, yes. Latasha says, yes, the garden is a healing place. And then PT says, thank you for sharing your story. You really are helpful to those of us on this journey. Um, and with that being said, what does trusting God look like for you in real life?
Trusting God means, for me, it's like knowing that I have a purpose. For I've always been a nurturer. So I've always wanted to help people. I've always wanted to take care of people. But I never, like, people look at me and they be like, well, you know, used to. They'll be like, well, you know, you don't have a college degree. I have a 2-year degree. They're like, but you don't have a 4-year degree in this. And you're just a CNA. And I'm like, well, at the time, I might be just a CNA, but I know more about your relative than you will ever know about your relative. And everybody cannot do my job because I wasn't just a regular CNA. I
Mhm.
have a lot of care and I have a lot of compassion. Everybody cannot work with mental health patients, and everybody cannot work in hospice. It was God that helped me be motivation to those people when I worked in mental health and to those people when I worked in hospice. They looked at me as being the strong one, as being the one to help them get through whatever it was they were going through, especially when I worked in mental health. Because people look at people that have mental health issues, they look at them differently too. not really knowing what they go through. And most people that work in mental health could care less. They're just really there to get a check. They don't take the time to get to know the patient. They don't take the time to get to know what's really going on with them. And I was able to do that. I remember I used to ask God, why do I go through the things that I go through? I've been through everything you could possibly imagine in life. Everything that should have tore me down. Everything that should have made me super depressed, made me want to do the unthinkable. I've been through it all. I've been through that. There's nothing that I have not been through. And I can honestly say that, but it was God that kept me. And I feel like that he brought me through all of those things so that I can encourage and motivate other people and that they can pull from my strength. Because if people truly knew my story, they would always be asking, how did I make it through? And how did I make it through is that God saw fit for me to keep going so that I can be here to show other people that it's doable.
Wow. Wow, amazing. You're a mother and a grandmother, and I know family means a lot. How have your children and granddaughter helped you keep fighting?
Well, I had to be here for my son. I don't care what people say. Girls are easy to raise and to help them get out on their own and they figure out their way and they do right. But when it comes to these boys, that's a hard battle.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard battle. And I had to make sure that my son knew, hey, mama's here. You always gonna be, cause he's the baby, so he always gonna be mama's baby. But I also had to learn to let him know that I was proud of him. That no, regardless of what happens, because he's gonna make mistakes, he's gonna make them. That's a part of life. But I'm still proud of him. The same thing with my daughter. I'm proud of them. So they had to see that mama, hey, mama is fighting. Mama is fighting. Mama is fighting for life. So every day that mama fights for life, we got to fight for life because our kids go through stuff too. Our kids deal with trauma. They they get depressed. Everything that we go through, our kids go through it. They might not say it, but they go through it. So we have to show them that it's okay. One, it's okay to not be okay. And a lot of times people don't realize that it is okay to not be okay. We don't have to be strong all the time. And our sons are taught to always be strong and that it's not okay to not be okay. But I tell my son that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to be here for them.
Now, what do they mean to you on the days when you feel weak?
I draw my strength because, like I said, my son's in the Marines. And sometimes that can be hard on him. Just when he was in boot camp, it was extremely hard for him. Extremely.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to show him. And he pulls strength from me. He's like, if my mom can deal with everything that she's been through, and when she was raising us, she did it by herself, and she made sure that we went without anything, then I know that I can do it. The same thing with my daughter. She tells me a lot. She was like, Ma, you did an amazing job. We might not tell you all the time, but we never went without. And you made sure that we made it to where we are now.
Now, how has being around them given you purpose?
It makes me, sometimes, I ain't gonna say with my son because he be like, he don't need his mama. But my daughter, I know he does, but my daughter, she really depends on me. So being around them is a big deal to me. And that's why I'm always calling them or I'm always texting them. And my daughter tell you quick, Ma, what is it? I'm working. I gotta work, Mom. But I'm like, it makes me feel needed. When she tells me something about my granddaughter or she wants to bring her down, oh, I'm like, okay, I'm needed. It feels good, especially when you can't work. When I can't do what I feel like I was born to do, which is to take care of people, sometimes I can feel useless, you know? And I don't want to let that sink me down. So I look to my kids. I like to feel needed. I like to feel like I'm worth something. When
Mm-hmm.
I tell you that I am truly a nurturer and I love to care for people, I have a friend. She gets sick. I mean, she's older. She's in her 70s, but she gets sick. I'm right there. And I had to tell her one time, I was like, you don't understand that when you're sick, I feel it and I'm there to take care of you. But when you don't let me know that you're better, it makes me worry. And I don't like that feeling. And I do that with everybody that I get to know or that I'm close to. I do
Mm-hmm.
that. You
Wow.
remember Renita?
Yeah.
She was my dialysis friend. Never met her in person, but we talked all the time. So I was always there, on the phone with her or texting her, or we talked on the phone. We talked on TikTok. We talked, so I was always there. Every time that she went in the hospital, she would call me or she would text me to let me know she was in the hospital, and we talked because that's what type of person I am. If I ever tell you that I'm there for you, then that's what I mean.
Yeah, I remember you shared her funeral arrangements. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, what does it do to your heart to hear grandma?
I hear Mina. She calls me Mina. She don't say
Okay.
grandma. So
So,
it just makes me melt and it makes me feel special because honestly, when I was younger, I never thought that I would probably be here at this age, just based on my life and everything that I've gone through. So when she told me that, she was pregnant, I was so excited. And then, now that she's here and she's a little diva, she's a little princess, I love it. It makes me feel great.
and you just mentioned that your granddaughter name is Mina, right?
No, she calls me Mina,
Oh, she calls you Mina.
and her
Well,
name is Arabella.
okay. Well, your granddaughter is a big part of your life. Can you talk a little about her a little more?
Well, my baby is 3. She's 3 going on 13. And when she came here, she's very sweet. Like just like my son was when he was little, meaning that if she see you upset or she feel like you were upset, she will come and she be like, "Hey, it's okay. It's okay. You okay? It's gonna be okay." She like, "Me not, it's gonna be okay." When she saw me hook up the first time, and I explained it to her what we were doing. I don't know if she remember it or not, but I explained it to her and I let her know what she could touch and what she couldn't touch. And she was like, "Okay, Mina." She's like, "Mina, it's okay. I pray for you, Mina."
Mhm.
She's just she's so sweet. She's so smart and
Right.
sweet.
So, what is it about her that brings you so much joy?
Just her being here. Just
Hmm.
her being here because she's so caring. She's just and because she's a toddler, they pick up everything. Like they learn everything, they repeat everything, they try to do everything that they see you doing, and she wants to do it, and she wants to be. She'll tell her mom. She's like last night I called them, and she told her mom I bought her a little play makeup kit for her birthday, and she told her mom. She said, "I do my makeup by myself," and that is just the cutest little thing. And, it just brings you joy because at that age, they're so innocent and they don't really know what pain is. They don't know what really loneliness is or depression is. And you just want to keep them in that era. You want
Hmm.
to protect them.
Do you feel like she gives you extra strength to keep going?
Of course. That's my baby there. I gotta be here to at least, until she married. They got a child of her own.
Right. So, with that being said, what memories are you holding on to most right now?
Of her or just in general?
Of her. What memories are you holding on the most?
The first time that she called me Mina and that she told me that I love you, Mina.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, what has been the hardest part of this journey that people may not see on the outside?
The hardest part is the loneliness. And because I am able to, in my house, I can be alone and, if I need to cry, I cry. If I need to scream, I scream. If I need to ask why me, I do all that because it's just me in the house. Nobody sees it, nobody hears it. When I step outside that door, I'm a different person because nobody will be able to tell you that I'm sick. Nobody will be able to tell you unless they really know me that I'm on dialysis. So it's the loneliness when I'm in the house because that give you a chance to really feel, hey, this is real. This is I got a tube coming out my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing, and we don't do it as much now because none of us really communicate. But the other crew, the dialysis crew that we had in the beginning, we used to talk about, you know, how you gonna be in a relationship or how you gonna tell somebody that you're on dialysis, especially when you're on PD, because that's not something that you're gonna see right away. You may see the bulge in the arm if you're on hemo, but you won't see necessarily see a PD catheter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that was the biggest thing back then. That was the biggest thing for me. And I was like, well, why is it a big deal? I mean, this is what's saving your life. So, if they care about you, then they're going to accept everything, right? But some people can't accept that. They don't understand. And you have to get up the courage and the nerve to be like, hey, oh, by the way, I'm on dialysis and I do PD dialysis. So I have a tube coming out my stomach. And I use my experience with my significant other because that was one thing. But when I told them, it was like, okay, and how does that work? What do you do? What do I need to do? What do I need to know? How can I help you? How can I help you get through that moment? Does it stop you from doing anything? I was like, it stops me from getting in the jacuzzi, a pool, a lake,
Right.
stuff like that. I was
Now,
like,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, that's it.
Now, are there moments when you smile but feel like crying inside?
Of course. Of course. I have a whole tube coming out of my stomach. A whole tube, right? That's gonna pretty much probably be in there for who knows when. You know. And it's not like that people are racing to give other people kidneys. They're not trying to beat down the front door to give people a kidney. And it makes me think because honestly, and this is, I would never understand why there are so many people in this world that desire to be on disability, especially those that have never really worked. I've worked my entire life. I worked since I was 14 years old. And disability is not enough to sustain a good life.
Mhm.
So there are days when I start thinking about that. I was like, oh, wow, what am I going to do? How am I going to get through this? You know, but I still put on a smile and keep going because people talk about that they love my smile and they like to see me smile, you know. So that's
Right.
what you gotta do.
What do you wish people understood better about dialysis life?
I wish that they understood that dialysis, that somebody that's on dialysis or somebody that has end stage renal disease is just as important as somebody that has any type of cancer. Because most of the time, or a lot of times, people on cancer, sometimes there's not a cure, but they have treatment, right? There's a treatment that makes them feel better, and the cancer can go dormant for a while or go in remission, right? Well, you can't do that with dialysis. I mean, we can get a kidney, but it's not 100% that the kidney is going to accept. We can reject the kidney, right? Our bodies can reject the kidney, and then you back on dialysis. So it's that same process. And people don't understand that. So many people, you would rather do awareness, rather do what's it called? Do clinics and shows and stuff about different types of cancer. And I even asked this at the hospital I used to work at, but you won't do it for dialysis. I feel that if more people saw this process of somebody having a healthy kidney and it slowly declining to where they get to where they're on dialysis, if they actually saw how that works, then more people would understand. More people would appreciate the people that they know that are on dialysis, and it wouldn't be so disrespected as a disease.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. If you could speak to another woman sitting in the same place you were once in, what would you want to tell her?
Is this the place before I was diagnosed? It's
No, right at the beginning when you went through all that with finding out and just going through that whole process.
I would tell her to make sure that she's ready for the tribulations that come along with it, to make sure that she has strength, to make sure that she has faith. Because I feel, and this is my opinion, is that I feel that without faith, you're not going to be able to make it on this journey. You have to have it, because when everybody else turns their back on you, your faith is what's going to keep you going. It's going to be what keeps you moving. When everybody else say, "Oh, I can't do this no more. I can't. I just can't because you can't do this or you can't do that or you're always sick." Your faith is going to be what's going to get you through every bit of this. And to me, these have now become tests and trials. Sometimes I may be down in the valley, but then most of the time I'm on the mountaintop. And for me, that's a great deal.
And so I pretty much you probably say the same thing to this question. The follow up: what would you say to the woman who is scared, tired, and trying not to break down?
Why I would ask why are you scared? What are you scared of? Because in life, we all want to go through something. We all are going to, see that D word at some point. So there's no reason to be scared. We have to understand that everything that we go through is what makes us who we are. Everything that you go through is what makes you stronger. You pull your strength from the battles that you face. And you have to know that you're never in a battle alone. That's where your faith comes in. That there's no reason to be scared. You can be tired, but just know, okay, you can be tired today, but you don't stay tired for a week. I'll give you the day. You can stay in the bed today and just be tired, and you can cry and everything that you want to do today. But tomorrow you're going to get up, and tomorrow you're going to press on. You're going to keep pushing, because what choice do you have? Why would you want to give up? You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I am a firm believer, right? So I'm a true believer. So I'll tell people quick, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. For all I know, tomorrow God could snap his fingers and my kidneys start working. For all I know, a doctor could come up with the fake kidney and it actually works. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going to happen. But if I give up today, how will I make it to tomorrow to know what's going to happen?
Right. Wow. Now, how would you encourage her to keep her faith?
I believe in music. Music is therapy. Remember, I said I used to work in mental health, and I always said that music is therapy. You get strength from music. You get understanding from music. So I would tell her, find a good musical artist, preferably, Christian music or gospel music, whichever one she decides, and listen. But don't just listen to the music. Listen to the words of the song, and you listen for understanding. And then start reading different passages in the Bible. I kid you not, I cannot read the Bible. It puts me to sleep. But I can read certain books of the Bible. I can read certain passages of the Bible. And I get understanding. You have to learn. We as people have to learn that we are unique in every single way. So everything that we go through, somebody else may be going through the same thing, but they're not going to go through it the same way. So we got to learn to pull our own strength. We got to learn to encourage our own self. We got to learn to motivate our own self before we even think that we can encourage or motivate somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Now, what would you want her to remember about herself and about God?
That she is a number one priority and that God would never leave her side.
Okay. And one last question for you, Yolanda, because I know we've been on here a minute. It's supposed to have been an hour show, but you just got so many great answers. It's just, amazing. But my last question, after everything you've been through, what does still standing mean to you?
Still standing shows me that I have a purpose. I have a purpose. And I might not understand or see my true purpose, but because I am here, I know that I have a purpose because I know that people are going to pull from my story. People are going to pull from my life, and they're going to be like, well, dang, if she was able to do it, then I can do it. She was able to get through all of this, and she still smiles. I can do it. There's no reason that I can't do it.
Okay. Yolanda, as I said before, thank you so much sharing your heart with us today. Your story is honest, powerful, and full of grace. And I know somebody needed to hear every part of it tonight. To everyone listening, I want to leave you with this reminder from Psalms 46:1. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Whatever, and I mean whatever you're walking through, God is still present. He has not left you, and he has not forgotten you. I want to thank you for joining us today on Dialysis Life with Steve the Kidney Nurse. I'm Steve the Kidney Nurse, and until next time, keep the faith, keep standing, and keep trusting God through every season. Again, Yolanda, any last minute shout outs you want to give before I officially close the show?
No, but thank you for having me, and I hope someone was able to pull some type of strength or motivation from anything that I may have said.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for coming on. And I definitely will be supporting you through your journey. Oh, and before I leave, I know you definitely been putting up a GoFundMe. Do you have, where's the link people can, if they want to donate to your GoFundMe, where can they go?
It's in my bio. The link for it is in my bio.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me put your TikTok handle. Oh, it's on TikTok.
Yes, Pretty Smiles.
Is that PRETI?
SMILZ.
So PRETISMILZ.
Yes.
All right, let me put that up on.
And before Jesus, before you go, I
Sure.
gotta show y'all something from my garden.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Let's see what you got.
My zucchini.
Oh man, okay. I love zucchini.
And because I was curious, they not ready though. But because I was curious to see what they were looking like, I got a baby carrot. This is a true baby carrot. Those baby carrots you buy at the store are not true baby carrot. This is what a true baby carrot looks like. And then I got a baby radish.
Oh wow. How long did it take for that to grow?
About 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to hit you up because I'm in the city. I don't have all that land like you guys. So
You don't have to
use
have
my
land.
backyard.
All you need is some pots and some soil.
Oh, that's all pots and
That's
soil.
it.
I can grow it in the house.
You can.
Okay. I'm definitely going to reach out to you because hey, it's nothing like homegrown. I had somebody. I went to work at a dialysis place in Virginia, and one of the patients brought in a homegrown pepper. And man, that was so good. That was so good.
They are so much better.
Yeah, absolutely. Better than the store bought because you don't know what process they be going through before they actually get there to the market. So, but again, thank you, Yoli, for coming on. And I'll definitely be reaching out to you. All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. And as I said to everyone, thank you for watching tonight's episode of Dialysis in Life with Steve, the kidney nurse. As I mentioned, keep the faith, keep standing, and keep trusting in God through every season. I am your host, Steve, the kidney nurse, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Steve on the mic, yeah, the nurse got skill, break it down smooth, keep the whole squad chill, talking about kidneys, yeah, we keep them on track, if your numbers off balance, he gon' bring them right back, got the wisdom on deck, no stress, just facts, hydration, motivation, every time he reacts, from the clinic hallway to your podcast feed, dropping gems so fresh, yeah, that's all you need, Stevethekidneynurse.